All right, welcome back, everybody, for a new episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video that I do where I want to talk about those little hidden treasures that could still be tucked away in those back issue bins at your LCS or wherever you're buying your back issue comics. These may not so much be dollar bin books, they may be price books, but they may be books that are just either undervalued, underpriced, or just completely kind of forgotten about. So they're kind of tucked away in those boxes, and you still might be able to liberate if you're lucky enough to come across them when you're going through and doing your hunting and flipping through those boxes. Now, to start us off this week, I do have a viewer suggestion. Stephen Guzman recommended a few things that he would like to see covered in Hidden Gems, so I'm picking one of his options and running with it this week, and I'll cover the other ones, at some point down the line as well. It's added to the list. You guys make suggestions. I'm going to put it on the list. I'll get around to it when it seems to fit, and it seems like something I want to cover. So feel free, throw it in the comments. I read the comments, I respond to the comments. I appreciate you all for watching. Hopefully you like this and you like this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know in the comments. As I said, I read them, I'll follow them, and I will respond. And hopefully you're telling your friends so we can keep growing this channel, because I'm having a lot of fun doing this stuff, and hopefully you're having fun going through these books with me. And if you want to see what books I'm going to talk about for this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so as I mentioned there in the open, I did get a recommendation of a few things. Stephen Guzman wanted to see some Top Cow, so I'll cover the Tomb Raiders. I got some things down the line that I could do with them, even Darkness, but I'm going to start off with one of his suggestions of Witchblade, because there are a few Witchblade books that, yes, some of these are going to be books that you all know and are very well aware of for some of you more savvy and older collectors, but there's a lot of newer collectors that may not know some of these covers and these titles. So I'm trying to reach out to everybody. So I'm going to give you a little bit here, a little bit of there, a little this, a little that, and hopefully everybody gets a little something out of this series. So if you know the books, hopefully there's still something in my list that is new to you, and you can go, wow, I wasn't aware that that book sold that well. So we're going to start off with an easy one. This is one that would catch your eye in a second if you're flipping through the box, because I don't think you can ignore the bright orange color, this negative space. John Tyler Christopher. This is one of his early negative space issues. Not that easy to find, but they are out there. So that's what I'm saying. Just know it's out there and know the value of things when you go digging in those boxes. So obviously, you can see a book like this. This is not a variant. This is, I believe there's an A and B cover, but this is not like an incentive variant or some impossible to find book. This is an issue that was out there on shelves. So this could be in back issue bins out there at shops right now. So go and take a look for it. And as I said, just know what these things are kind of selling for. Because if we look at this book, recent sold copies are in that kind of a $70 to $100 range. So if you could find this even at a shop and you see it's marked like 20 bucks, that could still be a good pickup for you based on the current prices, sales, history. What are other people asking for it? Like, this is the information I'm trying to give you so you can make the call when you are out there at your shop and you see what they have. Because again, I don't know what your shop carries. I don't know what they're going to have. So I'm just going to randomly pick some books that I find interesting, that I know a little bit about, or I've stumbled across and I found, surprising that I was like, oh my God, this is selling that well. This one I knew sold well. I didn't know we was up to 100 bucks these days, but that's kind of where we're at, even with the asking prices, 75 up to 170. Those are just like examples. There might be one lower, there might be one higher. There's graded. A lot of meat on the bone for this if you can find this for a decent price. So one to keep an eye. Like I said, this one you don't even really have to keep an eye out for. This should just jump out of you a second that you see it. This is most likely a wall book if your shop has it, but not every shop puts their stuff on the wall. This is something that could be in a box somewhere. So, like I said, just be aware of it. Now, some other regular issues of Witchblade, some might be B covers. Again, these are not going to be limited edition things that I'm going to be talking about here, because while those are interesting and could be hard to find and could be very expensive, I'm trying to find those things that could actually be out there if you go digging in a box. So if you find yourself in front of a box of Witchblade, these are the things that I would immediately start flipping for. So issue 161 is one I would be on the lookout for because of this cover. There's also another version of this cover too. I think it's the B cover. Also does pretty well, but this is the one that kind of pops, and this is one of my my favorites. But up next, we're going to go back a little bit in the run. Going to go back to issue 133, and this is just the B cover. This, I mean, you might look at it. I think this might. I don't know if this is a Sejic cover, but Stefan Sejic did a lot of the covers throughout this run, and a lot of them are gorgeous. And this is just a cover again. It should just jump out at you. It's like, oh, this should be something. And granted, that's not always the case. There are plenty of gorgeous covers that are still like cover price books or even dollar books, but I'd still grab them because that's, if it's good enough for you, just pick it up for a buck. Like, who knows? It doesn't mean it have to be worth a ton of money for it to be valuable to you if you like the cover. But this one was one that surprised me in that it does all right. I mean, sold copy, you look at it, you say, oh, 377, that's not expensive. But if somebody in the in the US bought this from the UK, this is like $25 because you got to pay that $20 shipping, to get the UK to here. So fine. Don't want to use that as an example. Let's look at the asking prices. $12, about $20, up to $50. There is the other option that you have. You look at what's actually out there on the market. This is what other people are asking for this book. So you get a sense of it. Yes, it can sell as cheap as $377, but again, you got to pay that shipping cost. You got to factor that in as well. You look at the other asks, 12 to $50. This is one, again, just be mindful. If you're flipping through the box, you find it for cover, you find it for less, maybe this is something you want to grab. Maybe you just like the cover. I don't know. But this issue 133, this is the cover B. I just wanted you to know about it. Just like I wanted you to know, always keep an eye out for this one. I love this homage. Mark Silvestri homaging himself. Witchblade 170. Again, this is one that should kind of pop out at you because you see it and you go, ooh, why does that look familiar? Well, it's an Uncanny X-Men cover that Silvestri did back in the day. But when the X-Men were down in Australia. So Uncanny X-Men 251 is homaged by the same artist doing his own work, but now on Witchblade on 170. And again, not an incentive, not a variant. This is just the cover for issue 170. So this one's not a super expensive book, but it's still one I still think is pretty cool, and you can probably find out there for a decent price. Recent sold copies, again, 20, 25, $15. So 15 to $25 is kind of that range that we're looking at here. When you see what's available, still in that same kind of ballpark, 14 to 18 were some examples that I found. So again, not a super duper expensive book, but maybe it's something you could find. Again, cover price less, $5, something like that. That's the kind of what I'm talking about here. Like, you might find this in a priced bin, but maybe it's just not priced to market today. Because again, how many people are buying Witchblade these days? This is one of those titles that, apart from Steven asking about it, how many people are digging for Witchblades right now? I don't know. So that's the kind of thing, just so you're aware, and in case you come across that kind of a run, you know what to look for. I think I got one or two more to cover here in the Witchblade, family of books. And the next issue after 170, issue 171 is another one. Again, this should just jump right out at you. Yes, it's a little bit risque with the, how the cover's laid out, but everything's covered. So nothing too bad there. But this one does pretty well, as you might not be too surprised. I mean, 15, $17, then you got to pay shipping. So 15 to $20 seems to be a good price, but the asking prices are much higher at 30 to 40. So those are the ones that sold, within the last month or two. But the actual ones on the market right now, you're talking 30 to $40. So hopefully you don't have to pay 30 to $40. Hopefully you could find this in a cheap box, even $1. Who knows? Like, who knows where the Witchblade back issues are? But this is one that you just want to keep an eye out for. And I do have one more. I forgot, because we were going to cover the final issue of that first run. That initial Top Cow Witchblade run ran a whopping 185 issues. And issue 185, if you can find it, this one's a little tougher because it is the final issue, and it does have that call back to issue 1. So this is the cover A. I believe that people are going to know about it. They're going to grab it. But there are two other covers that you should also be mindful of in the B cover, and I think this is a 1 in 5 incentive, the white Sejic cover there. So while you got the original Turner, and then you got can't tell who did that the B cover there, but the final issue in the series, issue 185, is one that you just be aware of what this sells for, in case you can find it for cover or less, or just a cheap price. Know that look. Cover A and B together, $55. Cover A by itself, $30 is how much it sells for. And just some examples of some on the market right now, $50 for cover B, asking $45 for cover A as an asking price. And then, yes, the only copies I could find for the C cover were all signed, double signed. So that $160 ask, I think part of it might have to be with the signatures, but for some reason, a lot of them, I don't know if all of them are signed, but all the ones on the market are signed, and there's like 3 of them, and they're all kind of in that $150, $160 kind of price range. So that's why I put that up as an example. But just be aware of it. These are the 3 covers for this book, and they all could command a decent price. So if you could find it for cheap, it's just something to be aware of. Now, kind of sticking a little bit with Image for the next little bit that I'm going to talk about is an interesting title. They never actually finished this series. It was a fun idea, but not everybody was on board. And I'm talking about Image United. The idea here was that all of the original Image artists were going to draw their original creations and actually just draw their parts. So Liefeld was drawing his Youngblood guys, Jim Lee was drawing his Wildcats, Eric Larson was doing Savage Dragon, McFarlane doing Spawn. You get the idea. I don't want to get Valentino and Wetworks and all that stuff. Everybody was doing that. They're going to do their own bits. And with that, there were multiple covers for issue 1. Everybody got basically a spotlight cover, and they all connected. So with issue 1, we got Liefeld coming, and then, sorry for that double dip, and then it moves over, and then we got, like I said, Valentino Shadowhawk, we got Spawn, we got Savage Dragon, we got a newer creation there that Portatio did, and then you got Witchblade, you got Jim Lee, everybody, so Mark Silvestri with the Top Gal, the Cyberforce guys, all working together to create this huge cover, 6 issues. And if you can find the whole set, you could be, do pretty well for yourself. Granted, individual covers could be pretty cheap. They could be like $10 to $15, but I'm telling you, something about getting that whole set. While none have sold recently, you look at the asking prices for the full sets, $360, $350 if you can find all of them. So it's just one of those things. If you're flipping through a box, you find 1 or 2 of them, just grab them, stash them, save them. Maybe you find the other ones along the way in those cheap boxes. Maybe $5, maybe less, cover price. Don't go spending a lot of money, but maybe it's worth it to go spending that $15 dollars to get that final one to complete a set. Because look, if a set can get you over $300, it might be worth that extra little bit of expense out of your pocket. But outside of the full run of 6 covers that's there, that's not all of them. Those were the 6 that connected, but then Jim Lee had another special, not I want to say special, but a separate cover. Again, this was not an incentive. This was just a variant cover in this, but this one sells very, very well. I do not have this one. I am a Jim Lee fan. I would like this one, and I'll keep an eye out for it. But right now, this one's pretty pricey, if you were not aware. This is $167 with 3 bids back in March, end of April. Best offer on $215. They accepted $175 for this. It's, I don't know if you want to call it a B cover, because I mean, if you do the 6, this is more like a G or J, or I don't know. But it's still, this is not the incentive. There are incentives. There are some sketch versions. There are some incentives, but this is just one of the other covers that you could have gotten for this run. And if you look at the market, kind of the same story there with the price. It's a very pricey book. Now, Image United also had second prints. This was the 1 second print. I think there might have been 2, but the 1 second print is that Spawn cover, but kind of flip-flop reversed with a white background. Again, none sold right now, but pay attention because the asking prices on this, about $50 raw, $120 for a 9.8. So if you can find the second print for this Image United book, it's another thing just to be aware of in case you find it at a decent price. Now, up next, I got a topic that kind of I'm going to connect with Chasing Ghosts a little bit tomorrow, but just starting off with just a regular kind of B cover. So again, these should be a regular issue, not an incentive variant, something that still might be at a shop near you. We are going to get a movie for Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. We're going to get a movie. Who knows if it'll be a hit? I don't know if it'll be as popular as, say, Sonic is right now, but could be. We'll see. But some of these books are already pretty valuable, and some of them might get more valuable if this does become a hit. And right now, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers from Boom, the 2010 series. Yes, there's an original run before this. I forget who was the publisher of it, but the Boom run here, you can see while there's no copies sold for this B cover, if we look at what the asking prices of copies out there on the market, $25, $20, $45 for a kid's book that you might be able to find for cover price or less. That's not bad. So I just keep an eye out for it just in case. Once again, this is just the B cover. The regular cover doesn't do as well as this one or command as much of a high ask, but it's still something to just be mindful of. Don't just discount this because it's a kid's book. because again, some of these kids book movies, or not kids book, some of these cartoon movies are, like I said, are hitting these days. And with Sonic 2 doing very well, Chip and Dale could do well, we don't know. And maybe our next one, Toy Story, well, not Toy Story, but Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear, it looks like it could be a decent little flick. So why not pay attention to these Toy Story comics again from Boom? Because Boom made some decent cartoon related comics back in this time frame. The Darkwing Duck stuff is, again, stuff that I've talked about before. This is just an extension of that. So keeping an eye out for these Disney Toy Story books. That's a pretty cool Buzz Lightyear cover. I mean, that's a pretty cool cover with him on the shelf. I kind of like that. And throughout the run, there's a couple other good covers. Some of these are like B covers. Again, A, B. There are some incentives, but I'm not talking about the incentives here. These are just the regular covers or the B covers in some cases, because some of the books had a Woody cover or a Lightyear cover. Like issue 7 there, I think, had the two. And issue 1 as well also had a Woody cover, but this is the Lightyear cover because I want to cover Lightyear because he's the one getting a movie coming out very soon. So figured, you know what? Let's keep an eye on those things because you never know what could happen with them. Right now, it's not that they don't sell. It's just, $17 ain't bad for that issue 1. I think it's a pretty cool cover, like I said. And if you can find it in a cheap box, just consider it. And then you can even see asking prices aren't that bad, $10 to $13. It's not that high. So I'm not saying you're going to make a ton of money if you find this, but who knows where it might go. Just something fun to go and dig for. And on that kind of topic, well, sticking with some more kids' books. I don't know. I went down this whole rabbit hole of kids' books, so bear with me. This isn't your thing. Well, there still could be money to be made out there. So be mindful of SpongeBob comics. Yes, SpongeBob SquarePants even has some books you should pay attention to because this issue 64 does pretty well. This is an 8-bit cover, and we all know people love those 8-bit covers, like the Deadpool ones, the Marvel ones. Folks like that kind of thing. They love the nostalgia. So SpongeBob doing an 8-bit cover, I'm a little surprised by some of the prices. I mean, $45, that's for a lot. So this is one book in the lot. So you can see, that's all right. I mean, 4 issues of SpongeBob SquarePants to get $45. You might be like, well, who cares? So why am I going to look for this 8-bit cover? That's only part of it. And like I said, some of these books may not have recent sales because they're just not selling right now. But when you look at what the market is and what the market is expecting out of this book, you can see, yes, you can get a copy for as cheap as $12, but then most of the other copies are $40 to $50. So that little $12 one is more of an outlier. So if somebody were to grab that, the only ones that would be left are the $40 to $50 copies. So $40 to $50 for a SpongeBob book, it's kind of crazy, but, well, we've all spent money on crazier things, right? Well, not me with the El Muerto, but some of you buying that silly El Muerto book. I'm sorry, I can't let that one go. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that all said, some of these kids' books, like I said, just don't discount them just because they're kids' books. And moving on from there, I know you're probably expecting, well, where's the Marvel? I need some Marvel. I just got a little bit of Marvel for you today, and I decided to end with it instead of starting with it. And the Marvel books I want to talk about here are the Skrull variants. We're going to be getting, Secret Invasion sometime, I think, within the next year or so on Disney Plus. And if you were aware or weren't aware, there was a time where during the Secret Invasion storylines where Marvel kind of just did, I don't want to say hidden covers. I guess I don't remember them announcing it. I don't know if these were 1 in 10s or if these were just intermittently mixed in 1 in 7, some weird ratio. But there are some covers where they just snuck in Skrull versions. So here we have X-Men Legacy as an example. This is X-Men Legacy 211, and there is a Skrull variant where it's a very subtle change, but you can see the difference. But that kind of goes with the story. Kind of a fun little neat idea for them to do this at that time to make the Skrull variants. And some of these can be kind of tough to find and can be a little bit expensive. Others might not be so as much expensive, but you take the take the good with the bad. I just think anytime you come across a Skrull face cover around this time frame, it's probably a good idea to just grab it, just in case, if it's cheap enough, obviously. Again, these are hidden gems. Don't go spending a lot on this stuff. I'm not telling you to go investing a lot of money in these books. I'm saying keep an eye out for them for cheap when you are flipping through boxes. Because while no copies have sold recently for this X-Men Legacy book, asking prices could be $20 to $40, as you can see here, for this particular variant. Again, this is also a David Finch cover, which is pretty cool. But another example here, Iron Man. Iron Man had this Viva Las Vegas 2-issue, I think, miniseries. Granoff cover. Yeah, pretty cool cover. I mean, it's kind of fun. This is not a very pricey book on its own, but as I said, just like the other, there is a Skrull version. So keep an eye out for the Skrull version because you might be able to make a couple of bucks. You can see the pair together sold for $50 at the end of March, or look, only $10 in February with 3 bids on just the Skrull copy. But like I'm keep saying it over and over again, auctions could be a great way to get some of these ignored kind of books. People aren't thinking about this, so there's not going to be a lot of action. There's only 3 bids on that book. That's probably a decent price because the available copies are asking $20 or again 50 for the pair. So maybe you can get it for half price at $9. I don't know. I'm not even saying spend $9 on this. It's up to you how you want to spend your money. I'm just saying if you could find this in a box somewhere for like $5, cover price less, this is something worth considering because you might be able to get a couple out of it. All right, I got 2 more, I think, in this kind of Skrull range that I want to cover. And the next one is going to be Wolverine Origins, number 25, Deadpool appearance. Inside this issue, there is actually a reprint of the Deadpool first appearance. Like Deadpool's first appearance from New Mutants 98 is actually inside this book, in this Origins book. But on the cover, this is a tough one to pick out. There is a Skrull version, which is just Dakin, however you say his name. He is the one who was Skrullified, I guess. You get him as a green version. It's very difficult to pick up. And when you see the two side by side, it's very subtle. Another way you can tell is in the barcode. The regular cover will finish 1-1, where the second, the Skrull version will finish 2-1 in the barcode because it's the second cover, but first print. So remember, barcode means something. We've talked about it before. The barcode means something. Now, no copies have sold recently for to give you a market on what the green cover might look like, but I did find one that's asking a whopping $100. Not saying this is a $100 book. I'm just putting it out there that none have sold, and there's only one out there that I could find that had that little green dude on the cover instead of the regular version. Some of these can be harder to find than others. And like I said, this book for a little while there, because it had the Deadpool first appearance inside, had a I don't want to say a demand, but it's still like a $15-$20 book for a stretch there on its own, let alone the variant with a Skrull. And one more, and this one's going to be tough to really relate to Skrulls because there's no skin in this next cover, but Ghost Rider has a Skrull variant, which is basically just kind of like a color variant for this issue 22. Both pretty cool looking. I mean, I like the red here, obviously, but if you can come across the Skrull version, which has more of that green flame, this is one you're going to want to look for. And once again, not a book anybody's looking for, so there's no recently sold copies. But if you check the market, what the asking prices are on this one, they're asking $100 to $120. Just saying, if you can find it, maybe you can make yourself a few dollars. So these are the kinds of things that I'm always trying to think of and go out there looking for myself. So I'm just recommending it to you. So any of these Skrull covers, again, I'm not saying all of them are going to be worth money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you could take a shot if it's cheap enough. And some of them are already asking for a bit. So just be aware of those ones. You can just look for those ones if you want. Just look for the expensive ones. I don't care. You don't dig how you want to dig. But I just want to make you aware of these in case you weren't already. And hopefully you find that beneficial. Hopefully you find that helpful. Because this is kind of fun stuff I like to do. I'm looking for this stuff anyway, so I have no problem sharing it with you guys as well. And with that all said, I'd like to thank you all for stopping by, checking this out. I appreciate you all. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, make suggestions, recommendations, some things you want to know, like what books are worth looking for. Again, I've gotten some good suggestions already. I still got topics to cover from like Malibu, Valiant. I got it. Like I said, I got the Tomb Raiders on tap, Darkness. Anything you're thinking of, like, you know what? I see a run of these books at my shop, but I don't know which ones are worth digging out. And then I'll do some research for you. With that said, hopefully you appreciate that and hopefully you enjoy that. Let me know, and I will see you guys soon with some more content.